and welcome to this Impact tutorial. In this video, we'll be going through Submeter Billbacks. With Impact, our program allows users to easily set up electric, water, and gas submeters to bill back usage to the tenant or property. To begin our Submeter Billback, we'll want to set up the submeter and equipment. So we'll go to Preventive Maintenance and Equipment. So we have an example of a submeter here. I'll go in and create another one. So we'll select New Equipment. When it comes to naming the submeter and the description, we do have a recommendation, and that's usually the meter number, utility type, and then serial number for the name. It's not necessary to do it this way. It is just a recommendation, but I'll just put meter number 2. This is electric, and the serial number will be something like that. And the description, our recommendation is the floor, the electric meter description, and suite number. We recommend putting the suite number instead of the tenant this will be for, just because tenants change, but the suite number will stay the same. So this allows you to not have to go in and update the equipment every time a new tenant moves in or moves out. So I will put floor 2, electric meter, suite, I'll just say suite 500. And you are able to add manufacturer, model number, and such. That's not required. The only thing you'll want to make sure to do is set the utility type. And this is going to let the system know that this is a meter. So we'll say electricity meter. We'll save it. And there we go. So we have our electric meter added. And that's all we need to do as far as adding the meter. Now what we want to do is create a submeter job plan. So we're going to be taking these meter readings monthly. So we want to set up a job plan for that. So let's go back to Preventive Maintenance, and we will go to Job Plans. So creating a job plan for submeters, really simple. We'll select New Job Plan. It'll be Universal Job Plan. And similar to setting up a submeter, we do have recommendations as far as what to name the job plan. Again, these aren't necessary, but they're just recommendations. So we recommend really starting with the description. So this would be electric, here we go, electric meter reading monthly, and the name, I will just abbreviate it. So there we go, electric meter reading monthly. You can do like a gas meter reading, or you can just do a blanket meter reading monthly if you'd want to, but I'm just going to do electric meter reading monthly. Estimated duration, how long is it going to take to read 1 meter, and then we will do monthly. So the next step you want to make sure to do is you want to enter a reading, and this is going to allow the technician to enter the submeter reading when they're performing that work order. So we'll select reading. All we need is just one reading. Since this is electricity, we'll do kilowatt hour. And there we go. We have our kilowatt hour. You would do, gallons for water, BTU for gas, whatever is needed. And so we have our reading there. The optional step is procedures. This just allows you to add steps. If there's certain steps you want the technician to take when they're performing this work, you can do so, but readings is really the only required thing. So we have our job plan all set up and ready to go for our electric meter reading. So now what we want to do is we want to go back to our submeter, and we want to create an APM for that. So let's go, and we'll go to Equipment. And so we are back at our submeter here for our Suite 500. So we will go to APM, and this is where we can set up our monthly APM. So I'll select New APM Frequency. We will go to Monthly. Next APM, any future date. that is going to be, when do you want this APM to start coming out? So we'll just say we want January the 1st. That way these will come out on the 1st. PM job plan, we want to select our electric meter reading monthly. Service location, just going to be the location of these submeters. We'll say they're on the outside, so building exterior. And job type, we'll just say preventive maintenance. Priority, how quickly do you want this meter readings to happen? We'll say within 3 days. Now the billable, you want to make sure if these are presumably going to be billed back, you want to make sure that they're either billed to the tenant and billed to the property. That way you don't have to bill it every single time. If you just select billable to tenant or billable to property here, when that APM gets generated, it's automatically going to be billed back. So we'll say it's going to be billed back to the tenant, and then we get a tenant drop down. So there we can select Williams Law Firm. That's what we want the bill to go to. And optionally, we can select the technician to do this. So we'll select Ray, and then we'll select Save. So our APM is created, and now on the date selected on January 1st, an APM will be generated automatically. And the technician, they're going to be able to input the reading and then complete the work order. It is really important for the technician to take the reading accurately, because the reading is going to determine what the tenant or what the property is billed back. So you want to make sure the technician's taking accurate readings. And at this point, the APM is going to come out as mentioned. Technician's going to take the reading, and then you want to close the work order. So let's go and let's just take a look at an example of what one of these APMs look like. So I'll go back home and I'll go back to open work orders. So we have 2 work orders. These are for the same submeter. So we see here Suite 220, Suite 220. So this one came out in November, and this one came out in December. So we can pretend that this is going to be the reading for November usage. This is going to be the reading for December usage. So let's go and into our first work order here. So the first reading that you take, it's really important that you don't bill the first reading. I'll kind of explain more a little bit later in the training about exactly why, but this reading is going to be like your base reading. So this is our very first reading of November. We'll say the reading said 20,000. So we will go and we will just close out this work order. Took them 5 minutes. Today, reading taken, and we will close it. And so that November reading is done. So now let's pretend, fast forward a month, and now we're taking our December reading. So now when he goes and looks at the submeter, it says 25,000. And we'll go close out this work order again. Perfect. So we have our readings taken, we have the work orders closed out. At this point, the work orders are ready to be billed, but you don't want to do that yet. The next step is we want to go and we want to enter the utility bill for our our usage and stuff. So we've taken the readings, we've closed out the work orders. The next step is we want to enter the utility bill that we get from the utility company, so that we got the electricity bill from the electricity provider. So we want to enter that utility bill. So we'll go to invoicing, and we will go to utility bills. And entering a utility bill is simple. all we need to do is select New Utility Bill, and this is going to be the information provided on that bill from the electricity company. So we'll say the bill date, we'll just say it's the 30th, energy, electricity. That's going to let the system know that this is the electricity bill. Total usage, we will say 200,000. Total amount, we will say, let's say 20,000. I don't know how much that electricity bill would be, so I'm just guessing here. The notes, we recommend to put in the date of service in the notes. That's really good for reference, so that if you are looking at these electricity bills, you know, okay, this one was for December usage. So we'll say 12/1 through 12/1 through 12/28. And when we say that, that is going to calculate our rate and our expense here. So the system, when we go and create our like Submeter Billbacks, the system's going to use this information to calculate the usage and the proper amount to bill back the tenant. And you must have the most recent utility bill in the system before you create invoices for the billbacks. That's really, really important. Again, you want the most recent utility bill in the system before you create invoices. The reason is the invoices will pull information from the utility bill. So if you have an old utility bill or you have no utility bills at all, are going to create incorrect invoices. Even if you go in and put the correct utility bill later, the system's not going to be able to correct itself. You're going to have to go in and manually correct those invoices. So very important, before you bill back and create invoices, make sure the utility bill is in the system. So with that, our utility bill is in the system. Now we're ready to go and do the final step, and that's going to be actually creating the bill back for the submeter. So let's go and do that. So all that is going to be under billable work orders. And so we're in our billable work orders here, and we have those two example submeter work orders that we closed out earlier in open work orders, and we see our November one and our December one. And I had mentioned a little bit earlier about you're not going to want to bill the very first reading that you do, and here I'll explain why. So we see our November submeter reading. If you go and create invoice, you'll see down here the quantity is 20,000. The system takes the reading as the quantity. So you don't want to bill the very first reading because the reading is going to be like your baseline. The tenant here, they didn't use 20,000 kilowatts in this month. That's just their baseline. So your very first readings, you're not going to want to bill. Our recommendation is you just select to hide these, and that way they're going to be taken off this screen. They're not going to be billed accidentally. So I'll just hide this one. And so now we just have our December. So now to create this invoice for December, we will go and select create invoice. And now you'll see the quantity is 5,000. That's correct because we had entered 25,000 for the reading, and the system is going to calculate the difference between the most recent reading and the second most recent reading for the related submeter and enter the difference as a line item here. And the reading difference will then be multiplied by the rate defined by the most recent utility bill of that utility type. So we see 0.1, that's calculated by our utility bill that we entered. So it takes the difference between 25,000 and 20,000, our two readings, as 5,000, times it by our rate, and that gives us our total here. And at this point, it's just like creating any other invoice. You just want to make sure that all the information is correct. and you double check everything, and if everything looks good, then you want to go ahead and you want to save the invoice to create it. So we'll go ahead and we'll click save, and that creates that invoice. So now it can be found under monthly invoices. We see our invoice here, and when we look at that metered usage, and that can be delivered to the tenant for payment. And that is the final step. Once you create that invoice, you're done with that meter, and then you're just going to keep doing that each month. The APM is going to be generated, the technician's going to take the reading, and you're going to close out that work order. Once all the work orders are closed out for the meters, you're going to go and you're going to create the utility bill that you get from the utility company. And once you enter that bill, you go and create that invoice for that submeter. So just kind of going through our steps again. Step 1, you want to make sure that the submeter is entered as a piece of equipment. Second step, you want to set up your monthly reading job plan. Third step, you want to go and you want to create the monthly APM for that submeter. The fourth step, you want to, when those APMs get generated, you want to enter the readings, get those work orders closed out. The fifth step is you want to enter your utility bill. And the sixth and final step is you go to billable work orders and you bill those submeters to get those invoices created. And that is the submeter process. And that concludes this Impact tutorial. Just a reminder that Impact is customized for each client, and therefore your Impact system may differ from the information provided in this user guide. For further questions, you're always welcome to contact us at support@impactsolutions.com or submit a support request in the Impact system. We're always happy to help in any way we can.